Okay, that's enough time for everyone to join us. Good morning to everybody who has joined us today. Today we'll be doing something slightly different. I'll be hosting again. I'm Ian, product manager with LILIN, but I will be joined by Jasmine from LILIN also, but she's in a separate remote location. So hopefully Jasmine's there. Good morning, Jasmine.
Morning, everyone.
Okay, so just like our previous webinars, just a few things to go through. We've disabled your microphones, but we will be doing Q&A. We've set aside 10 minutes at the end for any questions and answers, but feel free throughout to post your questions, and we may even answer them as we go through. Okay, so today we'll be looking at an introduction to the 2, 3, and 5 series LILIN IP cameras. So for the agenda, we'll be looking at what P and Z series actually means, H.265, the 2 series, the 3 series, the 5 series, any available resources, a summary of what the actual differences are. Then we're actually going to try to help you understand LILIN product codes, product selection, and any questions you might have. So let's jump straight in. So many of you would have seen our LILIN IP selector. It's a nice selector, but the problem with this is we have hundreds and hundreds of cameras, and it can be quite daunting about which one comes in which series and which one should I use. We also have product codes that when you first see them, they can be quite confusing, but once you understand the way the codes actually work, it will help you in selecting the right camera, and we'll look at this in far more detail towards the end of the webinar. So let's jump straight in. All of the 2, 3, and 5 series cameras start with either a P or a Z. So what do these mean? Well, the P range, the P2, 3, and 5, this means they have a fixed lens. In many, many situations, this is a 2.8mm lens. And the Z range, the Z2, 3, and 5, this means they have a very focal lens with a motorized auto zoom focus lens. So you can adjust the camera's field of view through your web browser or your LILIN app or your NVR to actually give you the exact position you require. So obviously the Z series gives you more flexibility. So on the screen now, we have a 2.8 image down in here on our left-hand side. So this is what most of our fixed lenses would look like. And then obviously our Z series, again, I'll reiterate that we can adjust the focal length by either the NVR, the web browser, control systems, or the app. And that can go between 2.8 in most cameras to 12mm. And you can settle anywhere in the middle. Okay? This really does help when you're setting a camera up for an installer. No more having to be at the camera on a walkie-talkie saying, is it in focus, is it not, back and forth with somebody else watching it. All you do, point the camera in the direction you want, go back to your web browser or your app, zoom it in, and the camera will focus itself for you. Here's a little video just showing this exact thing happening. It's important to remember a Z series camera, though, is not a PTZ camera. So you can't move up, down, left, and right. So when you're first setting the camera up, you need to point it in the general direction that you actually want it to look. And many people actually use Z series cameras and allow the end user the ability to be able to zoom in and out. So for instance, like this situation here, a driveway. So they'll leave it by default in a wide angle, but if the customer on their control system, for instance, sees something of interest, they can actually zoom in using the PTZ controls within that control system. So what do all the camera ranges, the 2, 3, and 5, have in common? Let's look at that first. So we have H.265, which is new for this camera range. PoE, we'd expect that now across the cameras, power over Ethernet as standard. Some of them are PoE, some of them are PoE+. So please do check the specification sheet to make sure you get the right switch. They're all on the Profile S certified. Most of the models can do SD card recording. We have custom install drivers for all of the ranges. Digital inputs and outputs on the cameras. 4 privacy zones on the cameras. Motion detection and alarm notifications. So alarm notifications could be something as simple as an email, an image to an FTP server, or a push notification to a mobile phone. For those of you who don't know what H.265 is and the advantage of H.265, H.265 is the next codec after H.264. So if we picture that we have a H.264 camera, we're all familiar with H.264, and we have it working at 4 megabits per second. We can actually use the H.265 codec for the same quality of image, but actually reduce our megabits per second down to 2 megabits per second. So roughly about 50% of the bandwidth is needed for the same quality. How does this help us? Well, obviously our storage then becomes a lot cheaper. So we generally at LILIN work on the assumption that a 2 meg camera working at 3 to 4 megabits per second will need 1 terabytes worth of storage for 30 days. Now, obviously, if you're using H.265, you can reduce that down to only 500 gigabytes. So you can either half your storage costs, or of course, if you still go for the 1 terabyte drive, double your storage capacity. So this is a great thing. Now, the cameras come default to H.264. You need to change them in the menu to H.265 if you want. But another nice thing about all the cameras is each stream that you have can be set individually. So you could have stream 1, 1080p at H.264, stream 2, which could be a 720p stream at H.264 also, but the third stream you might want as H.265 because it's going to, say, a control system, sorry, H.264. So you can mix and match. So I'll say that again. You could have your 1080p at H.265 for your MVR, which is a H.265 compatible MVR. Your 720p stream for your control system. Unfortunately, they can't take H.265 at the moment, so you'd set that to H.264. And then your third stream, your 480, again for your MVR on H.264. This video that we're showing now, this is just a 5 megapixel 2 series camera, but what we're showing you is how the LILIN cameras across the whole range adapt to the varying light and weather conditions. So here we have virtually every season possible in a 24-hour time period. This is actually when we were in the office. It's been a long time since we've actually seen this many cars on the estate. So the first series we're going to look at is the 2 series. So what does the 2 series have that's unique? Well, we've got the STARVIS sensor for ultra low light performance. It's very, very good at low light color performance, but it also does do monochrome. It's available in 2 megapixel and 5 megapixel resolution. Audio in some model variants. Now, be really careful when you're doing the audio. With LILIN, we either state that you can have a built-in mic. This means it comes with a mic, or it's 2-way audio. This means it's 2-way audio ready. So you need a line in and line out. You have a line in and line out. So you need a powered mic and a speaker. The 2 megapixel camera can achieve 60 frames if you wish. But to do this, you can only have 1 stream running. And 5 megapixel can do 25 frames per second. There are PIRIS variants in the 2 series, 4 selectable streams, which I've already talked about in some detail, so H.265, H.264, and JPEG. We are Control 4 SDDP for your Control 4 users. Dedicated stream for control systems, the 720p stream, for instance, and IVS on this camera range. So what is STARVIS? Well, STARVIS is a sensor that we buy from Sony. It's really good in low light environments. There are a number of STARVIS sensors available, and we buy one of the better ones. This short video here actually shows you a camera in color. On the left-hand side is a non-STARVIS camera, and on the right-hand side is a STARVIS camera. So you can see what you can achieve with some lighting in the scene. And here, just to show you how dark the scenario is and where I've zoomed in, this is actually the gentleman here that we're looking at, so we can achieve this type of image. I also said that the 2 Series has a P-iris model. So anything with a P on the end would be a P-iris model. What is P-iris? Well, conventional DC lenses open and close the iris based on the light levels in the scene. So you can imagine that this has no regards to the actual depth of field of the image. So it's opening and closing the iris, but it's not considering here that the depth of field may be going slightly out of focus. But the P-iris works in coordination with the camera software to consider this, so optimizing the depth of field. So here, when we're looking at the duck, we can see with the P-iris, the whole depth of field here is all in focus all the time, no matter what the iris position is. Now, this is normally essential as we go between night and day, so as it gets darker, and you generally use a P-iris when you're looking to have that whole depth of field in focus all the time, so things such as a high-speed motorway, where you're trying to do ANPR, so it's critical that you can always see a fully focused image. 2 Series also has IVS. So of course, motion detection is standard across the entire range, but IVS, Intelligent Video Solutions, this enables us to have tripwire. So in the image here, we've actually drawn the tripwire around, so it's like a perimeter. So as you cross that, audio detection, so we can set a level. Here you can just see the level meter here. So when the audio goes above the level, you create an alarm. Tamper, so if somebody violently moves the camera or covers it. Counting, so this counts people in and out. And advanced motion. We also have the ability within the cameras to have the not option. So we could set an alarm so when there's not audio or not motion that we receive an alarm. And we've done these in places where we've got things like in a warehouse where things have to be moving. Once that stops moving, we know that there's a problem with the equipment, it will create an alarm. We've got a short little video here just showing some of the IVS. So tripwire here, Darren and myself are just creating an alarm by going over the tripwire. You can have up to 8 tripwire zones, so lines, or you can draw them as rectangular perimeters around something. Unfortunately, the alarm is activated whether you go over 1. You can't set it to say, I need to go over 2 lines or more. Digital input. So this is a digital input into the camera. So I've wired this into a bell. The bell activates the camera to create an alarm. Audio alarm. So here, there's a little audio bit at the bottom. You can't hear it, but I'm shouting louder, and it just created an audio alarm. Tamper. Here, Kim from our warehouse sprays the camera. Creates a tamper alarm. And advanced motion here. So advanced motion works a lot like traditional motion detection, but unlike conventional motion, noise in the video will not trigger the alarm. Then object counting. As we cross the line, we count people in and we count people out. And this can be horizontal or vertical, and the line can be as long as you wish or as small as you wish. Okay. So the 2 Series also works very well with control systems. We're just going to look at control 4 in this instance. So we've got SDDP, so it's automatically discovered by Composer, and the correct driver can be added. We have a PTZ and static driver. So obviously the P Series use the static driver, while the Z Series, even though they're not traditional PTZ cameras, they would use a PTZ driver because we want to be able to use the zoom and focus functions. We have alarm integration, so within the cameras themselves, they can send alerts to the control system. So if there's motion or a tripwire or even a digital input into the camera, this can alert your control system that something's going on, and then you can program a reaction within your control system. The good thing with our drivers is we also have the ability for the control system to actually tell the camera to do something. So this can relate to something completely different. It could be a flood alarm or a PIR from another manufacturer. So this tells the control system. Traditionally, your control system, you would then have a reaction, and you may even get it to email you to say, we've got a flood. And then you'd have to dial in and check whether you had a flood or not. So why not get your control system to actually tell the camera to send you an email with a snapshot of that, so you can say straight away, yes, I can verify that alarm. So I did just mention that we have the email with snapshot ability as well. And then, as I've already said, we have the dedicated stream for your control system. So we can get a nice 720p stream onto our panels. The driver's actually written so that you can get up to a 4K stream. But at the moment, it's the control system platforms that can't handle those higher streams. But we've written the driver to be future-proof, so you can select 1080p, 4 meg, 5 meg, 4K. So this is just a quick example of what I mean by the dedicated stream. So this is the 2 series camera. I've got 4 streams. The first stream I've got at 1080p, and I've got it at H.264. So that's going to my NVR. Second stream I've set to 720p. So that's going to my Control 4 system or my RTI system. This encoder here, 480p, this is going for my multi-screen mode on the NVR, and also for some mobile applications, and encoder 4 also for mobile applications or other systems you may require it for. This is just a short video here. All I've done is I've added a 2 series camera as a 720p stream. So in security, this would be the same on an RTI panel, on a Crestron panel. So we can see Jasmine quite clearly moving there. Here in this one, I've actually used the PTZ driver. So what I'm about to do is actually drive the focus in, zoom in, and then focus. Make sure I press it correctly. It's hard when you're trying to hold a camera and record it at the same time. There we go, it's just focusing now. So I've zoomed that image in. The final little thing on the 2 series here is this is the email snapshot. So on this one, I've actually told the control system to send me a snapshot. But remember, you don't need to have a control system to do an email. This could be done on the cameras themselves as well. So there we go. Available series for the 2 series. Now, you may have noticed that IP selector at the beginning. We have a huge range of products. Now, obviously, we can't stock them all in the UK. So what we've done is tried to select the best models that we feel are the most relevant for our market. So these are the ones that we hold a lot of stock of in the UK. So the microdome, very, very, very popular. It's between the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. It comes with a built-in mic. Obviously, because it's so small, it's a fixed camera. There is no varifocal. So we do a 2.8 version in the 2 series. Okay, and we can do it in 2 meg or 5 meg, and we also have a black chassis available. So this one can be ordered in white or black. We then do the 2-inch dome. This again is quite small, 2 inches. So it's a fixed mil lens only. We do internal models and external models, and it's available in 2 and 5 megapixel. Our most popular camera by far is the turret camera. This is a varifocal turret that we stock quantity of, 2 or 5 megapixel, again available in black chassis. The reason turrets are so popular is, of course, the maintenance on a turret camera is so little compared to the maintenance needed on a traditional dome camera, because of things like IR reflection, dirt on the lens, on the polycarb cover. The turret, because it's got separate IR and lens, doesn't suffer from these anywhere near the same as a mini dome camera. The 3-inch camera, mini dome, 2.8 to 12 mm gain. This one does have a P-iris option and comes in 2 and 5 megapixel. Then we've got our bullet cameras at the bottom. So these start from the small little bullet, which again is varifocal, again available in a black chassis, 2 or 5 meg. They're all available in 2 or 5 meg. Our medium bullet, which gives us a slightly bigger focal length of 2.8 to 12 mm, or the option of a 7 to 22 mm. So this is when we're looking at objects that are further in the distance, but we want to be zoomed in. 2 or 5 megapixel, and again with a P-iris. These are really popular for number plate recognition and stuff like that, especially the 7 to 22 with P-iris. And then our large bullet. This sees a massive 5.3 to 130 mm varifocal lens, and 100-meter IR. And anyone who saw our 2 series webinar, which again, I will mention the 2 series webinar that we did as an individual is available on our YouTube channel. We go into far greater detail about things like the IR functions on these cameras. If you visit our website or look through the product selector, you'll also see these extra models. And we can order these in on special order, but we've decided at the moment not to stock them in quantity. So we've got a fixed mil turret available in 2 and 5 meg. So we've taken the varifocal as our standard. 2-inch dome with a fixed, 3-inch varifocal, none PRS. So we decided to take the PRS model as our standard, a box camera, and another small bullet. So before we jump to the 3 series, let's just have a quick look, Jasmine. Might want to have a look, see if we've got any questions. Are you there, Jasmine?
I'm here.
Right, so have we got any questions at all from that early?
We've just got one question asking, although Z series cameras aren't PTZ, can you set pre-zoom positions?
Preset zoom positions. Oh, so you mean can you do preset 1 zoomed in, preset 2 zoomed out, and so on?
Yeah.
I'll be perfectly honest with this answer. I've received 2 different firmwares that on one you can and on one you can't. Next time I'm in the office, I'll have a look at where we're actually at with that. It is a nice feature, so if it's not available, I will see if it can be added again, but I can't guarantee anything. So I'm afraid that's a little bit of a wishy-washy answer from me. Was there anything else you think we may have missed on the 2 series?
No, I think we've got them all so far.
Okay, so let's have a look at the 3 series. So the 3 series, again, is a STARVIS series, but we're using a slightly different sensor on this one. So the 3 series comes in only a 2 megapixel resolution. So it doesn't come in the 5, but it offers 30 frames in the 2 megapixel. We still have 4 selectable streams. Again, H.265, H.264 JPEG. SDDP and Control 4, dedicated stream for your control systems, so your 720p stream for your ELAN or for your RTI or for your Crestron, and IVS, so all the IVS. So really, the main difference between the 3 and the 2 series is it's not available in 5 megapixel, and it's cheaper. It's our budget one. So it's a slightly different sensor, as I said, to the 2 series. We only actually stock a standard 2 models of this. And what we've done, what we tried to do is go in, because it's a cheaper model, we thought, well, we've got the varifocal in the 2 series turret, so why don't we go for a fixed turret, so a nice cheap entry point for a STARVIS camera on the turret. So we're stocking the fixed mil turret and the small fixed mil bullet as standard on these. So these are how, you know, if you're up against the tender and you're trying to compete with other STARVIS cameras from other manufacturers where price is an issue. We can also special order, and we may stock these if the demand grows, a varifocal turret version, 2-inch dome, 3-inch dome, and another varifocal bullet. So these would be the 2 we would probably look at bringing in, the varifocal turret and bullet. I'll just share with you, just to reiterate, STARVIS. We always go on about STARVIS being very good in low light colour, but it is also very good in low light monochrome as well. So this video shows my back garden, so a residential situation, because every video you normally see is a commercial job. And this just shows a non-STARVIS camera on the right and a STARVIS camera on the left. And then with the lights off, so a very dark situation here, we can see the differences here with the new STARVIS sensor. We can see just how crisp things like the Brawley is. And again, this is one of those situations where you have to look at what you're looking at with regards to IR. So often we get calls from technical calls saying, you know, I'm looking into a back garden, just into foliage. Now, the problem is IR disappears as it goes. There's nothing to bounce off. Here I've got the nice reflective sheds, so that's why I'm creating such a wide spread of the IR. So The 3 Series, very much like the 5 Series, but not available in as many models and with a different, slightly less high-spec STARVIS sensor. Did we have any questions on the 3 Series, Jasmine, before I move on to the final series, the 5?
Carl would like to know if the 3 Series are available in black chassis.
I'm afraid at the moment we're only going to be doing black chassis in the models that we said. So the 2 Series has some, and the 5. The 3 at the moment doesn't. It could be something we look into in the future, depending on demand. The problem that we face, obviously, is just like I showed you at the beginning. There's so many product ranges available from LILIN. To have everything in black and white would then just increase that twofold. So we've looked at the 2 and the 3 Series. Now let's have a look at the 5 Series. So the 5 Series, this is our entry-level model. So this is the model you would use if you were competing and the job was price sensitive. It's available in 2 and 5 megapixel resolution, 30 frames at 2 megapixel and 20 frames at 5. You'll notice a difference here. We only have 3 selectable streams, but again, they are H.265, H.264 and JPEG. So we've lost the 4th stream. And we still do have a dedicated stream for control systems. There is no IVS on this one, so it's just motion detection. No audio either. So these are very stripped back entry-level models. But if you want a good quality camera that does what a camera should do, these are perfect. So with our control systems, many control systems will use the RTSP stream, so you won't notice any difference. And our existing drivers, if you want to use things like the existing drivers in your RTI system, they will work. With Control 4, however, the existing driver won't work, so we actually have another driver that's available to download, again, as a PTZ or static, and you can allocate the stream, just like before, the 720p stream to suit your panel. If you have done some systems on Control 4 with the 5 Series camera and you've used our normal generic LILIN driver, please contact us and get the new 5 Series, because that generic driver you were using would be using the JPEG stream, so it would be very slow and lower resolution than what you can achieve with the new driver. Here's a quick look at the camera menu itself. So again, we can select between H.265 and H.264. So I've gone for a 1080p to my NVR, 720p for my control system, and a 480p stream for my multi-screen or mobile devices or anything else that I may wish to use. The 5 Series model range is quite large that we stock in the UK. So we're going to do the 2-inch dome, just like on the 2 Series, 2.8mm lens, external version only. There are no internal versions on the 5 Series, but they're a lot cheaper, that you can use the same model internal or external anyway. Turret camera, we're doing both a varifocal and a fixed mil in 2 and 5 meg, and the varifocal model is available in a black chassis. We're then doing the 3-inch domes in 5 and 2 megapixel. The reason there looks to be so many is you may note that the varifocal lens is slightly different on the 5 megapixel versions, 2.8 to 8 or 2.8 to 12 on the 2 megapixel. That's why this range looks bigger. Doing a small bullet, varifocal bullet, 2.8 to 12 in 5 meg, matching the 2.8 to 8, and 2.8 to 12 in the 2 meg. And these are both available in black. So the black models available in this range are your 2 and 5 megapixel turret, varifocal, and your 2 and 5 megapixel small bullet varifocals. So any questions before we move on? Jasmine, are you still with us?
I'm still with us.
Okay.
No questions here.
Okay, so Jasmine's actually designed some, I'm trying to figure the word, Jasmine.
Short guides.
Thank you. Short form guides that are available on our website. And these range from everything from our PTZ cameras to our LPR. So she's broken it down into ranges for you, our STARVIS range and our 5 Series range. These can be found if you visit our website, LILIN .tv, under product, short form guides. And you'll see they're all there, the 2 series, 5 series, PTZ and LPR. And I do believe there are some new ones always being added. I think you've just done one for the NVR range, haven't you? Or you're doing?
NVR range, covert and panoramic cameras are coming up.
Okay, so we'll be forever increasing this. And they are really good little guides. If we look at it, when you open it up, it's a PDF that you can scroll through, and it has all the models available, what their features are, and a little bit of writing on them. So they're already up and running for you. I will take this moment to say to you that it's really important when you're specifying the cameras moving forward that you also check that you have a compatible NVR. If you're going to buy a camera for the purpose of H.265, because you want the H.265 compression, you need to make sure that the NVR you use is H.265 compatible. So, for instance, our NVR 3 series isn't, while our NVR 5 series is. Okay. Also, if you're upgrading older cameras, and this one's really important, with newer cameras, you might go out and buy a 5 meg camera and not realise 5 megapixel camera doesn't work on the old L series because that was limited to 3 megapixels. Okay, so if in doubt, please ask us before ordering cameras to do stuff like that to replace. And remember, our NVR series, they're available in traditional size, 2U, 1U, rack mountable models. So we have something for everyone. So a quick summary of the series, and this presentation will be available so you can look back through it in more detail and slow it down so you can have a look. But 2 series is available in 2 and 5 megapixel, the 3 series only in 2 meg, while the 5 series is available in both. Very focal Z series, motorized zoom, yes in the 2 and the 5, while we can do special order in the 3, and we may look to bring it in. H.265 standard across them all. STARVIS and your 2 series and your 3 series. IVS, so if you want tripwire, audio detection, and those other IVS features, that's your 2 and your 3 series. Standard motion detection across the whole range. Audio is only available on the 2 series. SDDP for Control 4 users. The 2 and the 3 come with it. The 5 series does not, but we have that driver that you need. We have also increased our security on our cameras. Moving forward with the new firmwares and as standard on the 5 series, when you first power up the camera, you will be asked to create a unique username and password, and this will have to be so many digits, including uppercase, lowercase, and a symbol. So no more using default. And then NDAA for our American market, they're all approved by the American government. So let's dive in and try to look at these LILIN product codes. So how do they work? Well, we've already looked at the fact that we know now that all the cameras in the new ranges start with a P or a Z. Okay, so that's our series. The first digit is our series. So Z, something, yeah. The second digit is what series it belongs to. So Z, auto zoom, autofocus, 2. It's a Z from the 2 series. P3 would be a fixed lens from the 3 series. The next digit is the whether it's IR or not. So a Z2R would be a Z series, Z auto zoom autofocus, 2 series with IR. The D would be no IR. 4th and 5th digits are our chassis, and you need to start to get to know your chassis. But 6.5, they're our turrets. 8s are our bullets. Okay. Other 6s are our mini domes. So 6.5 for the turret. 6th digit is the resolution. The 7th digit is the power. The 8th digit is the lens type. And finally, the 9th digit is either PIRIS or black chassis. Now, I'm not expecting you to remember all that from this slide, or even this slide. This just breaks down our chassis. So I mentioned that 6.5 is one you'll use a lot for our turrets, while 6.8 for our microdome. So you'll see that all dome cameras use 6 first, while all bullet cameras use an 8 first. What I'm going to do is bring up this slide here. This will help you a lot. So Z2R 6522XK, or Z, zoom or fixed. Well, we know it's zoom. 2 series, next digit, series, 2. So we know that. The next one is a classification. It's an R, so we know that that means IR. 65, that's for our chassis. So we've already said that 65 means turret. 2. Now this is the resolution. So this one's a 2 megapixel. If that was a 5, it would mean it was a 5 megapixel. So 2 means 1080p, 2 megapixel. Power. They all come standard with PoE, so this means the additional power. So this camera can take a 12-volt input. X, so this is the lens type. X means varifocal. And finally K, this is the additional feature. This means a black chassis. White chassis don't have anything at the end. So if this was white, this wouldn't be here. It would just be the Z2R6522X. So let's have a look at another one. So this time I'm going to ask Jasmine to jump in. I'm going to put her on the spot.
Yay.
So P, this is zoom or fixed?
It's going to be a fixed lens.
Yep. 5, it comes from which series?
The 5 series.
Yep. The R means?
It's got IR.
Classification IR. Do you know what the 8.8 chassis is?
The 8.8 is our new small bullet.
You've got a better memory than me. The next digit, the 5, so this is our resolution, so this is?
5 megapixels.
Yeah. Then this time we've got 2 digits, a 2 and an E, so this is power.
So the 2 means it's 12 volt and the E just means PoE.
Yeah. For some reason, on some models we put the E, on others we don't, but as I said, all of the all of the 2, 3 and 5 series are PoE. And then the final digit, the 2.
So that's the lens,
type.
It's a 2.8 fixed mil lens.
Yeah, and if it was an X, it would have been a varifocal, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. One more for you. Z?
Z series.
2?
2 series, STARVIS.
Yeah, the R.
It's got IR.
Yeah. Next digits.
8.1 is our medium bullet chassis.
Okay. The 2 for the resolution.
2 megapixel or 1080p.
2 for the power.
Again, 12 volt.
X for the lens.
Varifocal.
And then finally the additional digit, the P.
It means it's got a P iris.
That's it. I'm just going to quickly check to see who is attending at the moment. This might not work, but bear with me. And I wonder if I can... Cole Brett is there. Cole, can you hear me? If I allow you to talk. I don't think he can hear me, unfortunately. I was going to put Carl on the spot and ask him a few questions if I allow him to talk. Carl, are you there? No, so I'm afraid it's you again, Jasmine.
Oh dear.
So, P.
It means it's a part of the P series, so it's a fixed mil lens.
Yep. 3.
3 series, which is our budget STARVIS.
Yep. R.
It's got IR.
That's it. 6.5.
It's our turret chassis.
Yep. 2 for the resolution.
2 megapixel.
2E again, so for the power.
It's the 12 volt and then the E just means PoE.
Yeah, and the final digit 2.
A 2.8 mil lens.
Yeah. We also know that it's going to be a fixed lens anyway because it starts with a P.
Yeah.
So if that was a 4 at the end, that would be a
4 mil lens.
4 mil lens. That's it. Okay, so I'll just quickly see if anyone's got any questions. No questions moving forward. So now we're just going to have a look at a few examples. So the customer needs a camera for low light environment. It will be mounted low on a wall and they have requested full Control 4 integration. So what would we recommend on this? Well, because it's quite low on the wall, I'm already thinking you're going to need something that's vandal resistant. So I wouldn't necessarily go for a bullet here. I'd probably be going turret because it's low maintenance. They look nice. And they've also mentioned low lights. Straight away, I'm thinking the 2 Series, because they want the full Control 4 integration as well, with the alarm features. So we could either go a fixed mil 3 Series turret, but I would probably go very focal myself, 2 Series on this one. So LILIN's choice would be the 2 Series STARVIS turret, vandal resistant, as I said, and it has all of your Control 4 alarm integration options. The next one, I'm going to throw this at you, Jasmine.
Yep.
Okay, so the customer is very price conscious. Is not certain of the angle they need though. They do have a Control 4 system, but it could be an RTI or a Crestron system as well, and they would like to view it on the panels. What would you recommend?
So as the customer is very price conscious, I would be looking at our 5 Series, so the entry level.
Okay.
If they don't know what angle of view they want, I'd always recommend a Z Series lens, because they've got that flexibility we've mentioned to be able to change the angle of view there. So I'd probably go for a Z Series bullet. Sorry, Z5 Series bullet.
So yeah, a Z5 Series budget here. So 5 Series is the most budget friendly, as we know. Z Series, so they can adjust the view. And of course, we know we can view it on the panels on our control systems. We could have also gone for a turret here as well, or even a mini dome, but I try to stick with the turrets if I'm going for the dome style. So the customer wants a camera to view their front doorway with the ability to record audio from the scene, and it requires low light. Well, we already know if they want audio, we can only use the 2 Series. As it's a doorway, I'd probably go for the micro dome, the one that's actually got the built-in microphone. It's available in black or white chassis, and it's the small little golf ball sized, tennis ball sized dome. So 2 Series for low light, low profile discreet, and of course the built-in microphone. So the final one, Jasmine, the customer has a long driveway and wants to view through Control 4 or another control system. They have requested that the camera triggers outdoor lighting when activity is sensed.
So if you've got a long driveway, you're going to probably want a narrower lens so that you get the pixel density at that point that you need it. So I would suggest the 2 Series, because this has got the slightly larger medium and long IR distance bullets. So I'd probably go for the biggest bullet we have, which is the 8022. Again, it's a 2 Series camera, so it's got the STARVIS low light that they'd like. It's fully Control 4 or control system integrated, so they can do their trigger for the outdoor lighting, and it's got a 25 times zoom lens. So that's going to be really powerful for driving it in to the point that they need it.
Okay, nice one. Okay, so this was a short little webinar. Hopefully you've learned something about the 2, the 3 and the 5 Series, and a little bit about our thinking behind how we select and our thinking behind the product codes. I did mention earlier as well that we do have the other webinars available on our YouTube channel, and Jasmine will send you links for those. So if you do want to look at the previous webinars where we go into a lot more detail on the 2 Series camera, we look at everything from the IR to STARVIS to alarms. We also have ones on control system integration. There's plenty on there for you to view. But let's see if we have any questions from anyone. Okay, very, very quiet lot today. Not many questions appearing. So I'll just reiterate if there's no questions. Again, when selecting your new camera, oh, we do have a, oh, here they come. Do you have an in-depth every setting webinar on the NVR setup? I'm afraid we don't at the moment. Depending on how lockdown goes, we may be doing more webinars. To be fair though, I don't think we'll ever do an in-depth every setting on an NVR, because the problem is now we've gone to IP and things like NVR, each menu has hundreds of different options where you could go. So if you select something on one, that then has a massive knock-on effect for the next. So for instance, if we do motion detection on an NVR, everything else then has a knock-on effect in their menu because we're using motion. We will certainly do some webinars on the NVR, and hopefully it will cover everything you want. But if you have any specific questions you want us to answer, Rick, feel free to email us or contact us separately, and we can go through things with you on an individual basis. With regards to an NVR, I think generally they're more generic rather than every single page of the settings. But if you wanted to spend a little bit of time going through with a salesperson or a tech person some of the settings that you are have questions about, feel free to contact us. Thank you, Peter. Always nice to hear good comments, Peter Alloway, and I hope you're well. And again, yeah, thank you, David, for your nice feedback there. So we'll end this with me just saying as well, remember what I said earlier about the cameras. If you do need to check that they are compatible, often people just buy the 5 megapixel because it's the highest spec and don't realize that they're using an old L series NVR that can't take a 5 megapixel camera. Or you might be buying it because you want H.265. So just make sure that you have a H.265 compatible NVR. And we're always here to help anyway. So from Jasmine and myself, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. Yes, Andy, this video, this whole webinar will be sent and also put onto YouTube for you to watch back whenever you want. Okay, so I hope everyone takes care, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.